Belvista Studio Show.
Hi everyone, and welcome to the Belvista Studio Show. We are super excited today to have John Hinchliffe with us. Just to give you a bit of background around what the Belvista Studio Show is, there was a mastermind who came up with this concept, and it was actually John. So we can't take all the credit for this idea, but the intent behind this show is for people in the industry who are doing amazing work and people that we have recognized for creating really great projects. And it's just to see what people are actually working on. So we often talk about concepts and learning methodologies and how we do things, but John really thought, and we agreed, that it would be great to see what people are actually creating and see the thinking behind it. We're super excited today to have John here. He's going to be going through a course that he has developed. So thank you so much, John, for being on the show. This is Kim, the founder of Belvista Studios. I'm Hannah. And welcome, John. Thank you for being here.
Lovely. Thank you very much for having me. And I love what you guys are doing with this concept.
It's too easy.
Yeah. Cool.
Yeah. So, like you said, the concept of this really was, how do we share best practice? And it came from when I was at DevLearn last year. And they had Demo Fest, and you had such incredible people like Kath Ellis, who were showing some absolutely wonderful pieces of work. And I just thought, if people aren't there, or if people aren't seeing on LinkedIn, where are they going to see it? And it's really easy for people within our industry to get so caught up with hype, but really not know how things are built. And that's the biggest thing for me, is how do we share, how do we build, where are our concepts, where do you get crazy ideas from? I get a lot of inspiration from video games, marketing, and it's just, where does everybody get their stuff from? So that was the big thing for me, and because of schedule and things like that, I just couldn't do this on my own, and I thought you guys would be perfect, and thankfully you were.
Well, it's been awesome. Like, every episode we've recorded so far has been so inspirational, and like straight away we'll get off the recording and it's like, okay, that project we're doing right now, have a think about blah blah blah. So it's really inspiring for our team.
100%.
And then the other people that have been watching as well, like the resources that get shared in the episode is just crazy. So excited to have you on today.
I just want to say as well, before we get started, like, John, you are someone who inspires me so much in the industry. So having you on the show today is been so exciting for me, and I just want people to know, like, you're going to gain so much value from this, because John, he just shares so much with the industry. He creates amazing initiatives in his own time, and he's just so passionate about what he does. And I'm always telling Kim how awesome John is. So I just want you to know that I really appreciate you and think that you're we're so lucky to have you in the industry. So not only for the idea you gave us, but for being an awesome human being. So thanks for that.
Thanks a lot. Means a lot.
All right, you go take over, share screen, and let us into your world and the wonderful things that you're working on.
I'll let you into my world. Okay, so pretty much the project to talk about is, back in April last year, I got called into the provost office here at the university. So for those that are coming through to this, I work as instructional design expert at the United Arab Emirates University. So I've been here since January last year, and I take care of all of our online learning, but also educating our faculty here about blended learning. And so April last year, we had an emergency meeting to say we need 2 6-week English courses online, which hadn't been done before. We need them in 2 months. So the thing was, this had previously been given a 2-year project plan, but it needed to be done ASAP. So the fact with English is, it needed to bring students who were going to come through to the university up to a specific level of English competency. Okay, so panic. You have 2 months to create something that is supposed to take 24 months. And so, instead of kind of complaining or anything like that, I really love a challenge. I kind of just put that bit in between my teeth and go for it. So it really was about seeing what was our current position? Where were we at the moment? And where do we need to be? So a big thing, and this is something that, I take inspiration from you guys, is learner personas. Really looking at who are our learners, where are they learning, how are they learning, what do we need to provide them, what is the need to know, what's the nice to know. Those are kind of the things that really kind of go through my mind. Yeah. But also then the massive curveball for me was, okay, we need this, we need it on a MOOC platform, but we don't have one already, so you need to go find one. So it's kind of this perfect storm of, creating something that just doesn't exist within the university. So it really came down to talking to our subject matter experts about what do we currently have, what would work. So what do we need somebody to understand by the end of this course? So with the two courses, we have a 120 course and a 130 course. So the 120 is kind of pre-intermediate, and then 130 is your intermediate, ready to take your examination. So altogether 9 units. Previously, a long time ago, these units had been put on iBooks. Now, I've never dealt with iBooks. I've never dealt with actually putting stuff on or extracting. So it was really kind of that opening part was, okay, the stuff that is on the iBooks, what stuff can we utilize? Also, what stuff do you know is good out there in the world that we can curate? Because really for me, kind of from the outset was, how do we curate rather than create everything? Because it's time. I was looking at 2 months and the clock was ticking. There was no free time to really think about concepts, look and feels, how do we make everything pretty, all the stuff that you would want to do. Yeah. If you were to go through a full ADDIE process, we just didn't have that. So it's really kind of the move fast, break things. Yeah. So really talking to our subject matter experts, understanding, okay, so within this course, here is the stuff in the iBooks. The thing was, I had zero concept of how we were initially going to extract stuff. So I screenshotted every screen that was in the iBooks of content. Yeah. Put that into a PowerPoint presentation. This is how long-winded this initial thing was. So this was probably the longest days. I was probably in the office from 8 a.m. till 8 p.m. pretty much every day to get the actual content out there.
So did that, made PowerPoint presentations, gave those to the subject matter experts and said, look, of this, what do people need? So give me a red line through it if they don't need it, leave it if they do need it. So that was kind of that first initial kind of weaning it down. Then from there, it was going through in the iBooks, they actually have interactive activities and they were utilizing things called book widgets. Once again, had no concept of book widgets. And another curveball, book widgets, the actual application was for Macs. I'm a Windows boy. I've never touched Mac. So having to understand how we were actually going to get that, I needed help from our media developers because they are Mac central. So it was, once again, looking at those book widgets.
Going through the SMEs, which are relevant, which are irrelevant. Then understanding and getting my developer on board to understand how do we actually extract the URL from those so that we can embed those in whatever platform we need. So it's starting to get there. Also, we have things called Quizlet, and Quizlet is a great reference tool for if you are learning languages or if you just need refreshers on things, because they have things such as complete sentence, flip cards, and it's a really, really useful thing. And I'll show those within the project. But once again, it was going through those. What do we need? Then it's looking at what is the really static stuff. So what is the stuff that I could actually create in Storyline to just bring some interactivity to this? Because, even though this is a pace, I still want to create something that's great. Yeah. So it is, how do we, look at what are the really big chunky sections? Yeah. That is just a whole lot of text. What in my mind does that come through to? So is that a click and reveal? Is that a video that we can find from another source that we can curate in? Yeah. And so it's really going at that. So that took probably, that probably took 2 weeks to really get that, which is frightening for me because all the time I'm thinking, we're running out of time. We're running out of time. Yeah. So from that, then it is looking for a platform. So randomly, kind of the thing that really started my whole kind of ethos of entrepreneurship and, just helping others was a gentleman called Lewis Howes. And he is such an incredible inspiration, but he actually launched a course on a platform called Thinkific. And I was listening to my stakeholders and they were saying, okay, well, we need a platform that is easily accessible, looks great, but is able to take as many students as we can. And it kind of got me thinking, well, Lewis Howes is going to have tens, maybe hundreds of thousands of students on a great looking platform. And I know it's on Thinkific. Let's go look in Thinkific.
Yeah.
So went to Thinkific, and the registration and the details for everybody to actually log on automatically. Perfect. So not only do I need to go through the content, create the content, I also need to understand how a platform works and create that platform. So there was a whole bunch of things. And also in terms of instructional designers that we have here at the university, there is me. And that's it. Also, with the timescales, we couldn't hire anybody externally. So we couldn't hire a third party. So we had that. We didn't really have a budget to do things. So it was literally just looking at this and thinking, right, this is going to be going for it full on. So thankfully, I've got quite a strong work ethic and I love seeing things succeed. So this really is the culmination of that. This is the culmination of 63 days straight.
Yeah.
So that is evenings, weekends. That's also going through Ramadan. So this was my first Ramadan. And it was quite an experience to go through this.
So how
let's take you through sorry?
I've just got a question, sorry. How did you manage your time? Like, did you follow a project plan or did you not have time to even... Like, how
didn't
did
even
you
have
do
time
it?
to do a project plan. It was literally, it was a calendar showing 2 months on the side of my desk wall. And every day I put an X next to what day I'd just done. And I had in a big red marker the end date. And I'd noted down how many, so I'd spent, I think it was like midnight one night. And I actually counted down the days on my calendar. I wrote it on. So it'd be like 63, 62. And so I'd know how many days I have left. So, it was absolute going for it. And I also had this quote by Nelson Mandela on my wall, which says, "It's only impossible until it's done." And literally that was my first thing that I'd see in the morning, the last thing I'd see at night. And it was just that kind of inspiration of just, really, really going for it. So, it was just an absolutely incredible time. So kind of what you're seeing at the moment is the completed actual screen. And also anybody that's watching this, you are free to take this course. So it's at uau.thinkific.com, completely free of charge. And you can go through. Thankfully, I have a graphic developer who is able to make, this lovely header. Also, I made kind of accessing your course videos. So I do that in Camtasia. So if we bring that up.
Oh, cool.
So kind of just giving
really
people a sale. Oh, did you get that audio then?
No, we can't hear the audio.
No. That's a shame. Well, go to uau.thinkific.com.
Yeah.
Is there a special voiceover artist doing that?
You'll get more of my voice on there, which I'm sure people will want after this. So, we have two courses. We have our comprehension. Now, within comprehension, we have 3. So all is nice and simple.
Yeah.
And also for 130, let's actually give you 130 a look into this. So from a student point of view, this is when you've actually enrolled.
Yeah.
So it's a really clean, nice interface that you've got on Thinkific. Like I'm a really, really big fan. I was super surprised by, for something that is $799 for the year.
Yeah.
If you were an organization and let's say you had 3,000 employees or whatever, and you're paying per seat, maybe you're paying like $4 per seat, this could actually be quite a nice, cheap alternative.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely.
You've got quite a nice bit of customization, but also the best thing was the embedding. We had elements that were So we had book widgets, we had Quizlet, and it was the fact that you could embed them straight in. So Quizlet, really cool. Thankfully you could get the embed code from Quizlet.
Oh, cool.
You know, you could just do these really nice and simple. And thankfully, because these were pre-made by the team beforehand, it meant that we could get the code, embed in, and that was one thing done. So it was really about looking at what was working great. Also within there, you know, you've got multiple different study modes. Yeah, so Quizlet, really, really handy tool, especially if you've got a platform whereby you can embed. So I'm super impressed by that. Also, for interactive learning, what I called interactive learning was our storyline stuff.
Yep, cool. That's great that you can embed all that, isn't it? Like embed so many different tools and platforms. That's really cool.
Yeah, it was like pretty much every day that I was working on it, I was just getting more impressed by, I can embed that. I can embed that. And it made my life so much easier because, you know, when you are going at that kind of pace, the last thing you want is hiccups, or you want to find out something doesn't work, or you know, you're going to have big issues. So with Storyline, pretty much in my first month of working here, I created templates for Storyline just because, having worked at previous organizations, I know the luxury of having templates because, you know, when you want to build a pace, rather than thinking up and also creating all the variables and testing, if you have templates in place, you can just rush through. So it's really, really easy. So, you know, we had things like external dictionary apps, and those kinds of elements. But then also, you know, we had just click and reveals. Also, just getting people to, you know, fill in things. So trying to just make a bit of a learning experience. Also, you know, questions. I have zero idea if that's correct. Somehow that's correct.
John,
I still got it.
You've
still
done
got
this
it.
before.
So,
you must speak this language.
Really looking at what we have, you know, kind of looking at what do we have existing, but also what can we curate. Now, kind of looking at...
Before you go on, John, can you just show me that? I'd love to see when you resize, because I know Thinkific is a responsive tool, so it's great for people that want to go onto mobile, because our Creator Hub is developed in Thinkific, and I have to say, in terms of learning it from scratch, if you do need to do something quickly, it's so easy because the widgets are there. You're just putting it in and it makes it look beautiful. But I'd love to, and one of the reasons we chose Thinkific was because you can embed Storyline. So I'd love to see if you wouldn't mind minimizing it so it looks like it's a mobile, to see how it treats the Storyline embed.
Oh, that's way too small. So it gets rid of that side panel there.
Oh, yeah, cool. That's really good as well.
Yeah, cool.
But it's great. It's great that you guys are on Thinkific as well. Like, such a big fan of it. Like, and also I've really got to give a shout out to their service team. Every single time I had a query, they were absolutely spot on straight away with the solution. And just super impressed with them. So big fan with them. So I mean, in terms of the embedding just made life so much easier. Also creating quizzes, you know, really nice, easy, but crisp looking quizzes. And so that was kind of the thing, was understanding in the beginning, what could we do on this platform? And then just going so hard at it. So really just pushing the limits, just pushing time. And, you know, when we think about, you know, especially for developers, the back end. So this is the back end of how it looks. And just adding things is so simple. So, you know, you want to add video, you want to add quizzes, multimedia, you know, text, surveys, audios, PDFs. Super simple. Really simple. Also, you know, when you are looking to find out how to do something, there's tons of resources online. So Thinkific was just a really simple, easy to use. Also, setting up the platform itself was incredibly simple. That was one of the big things for me is I can create the learning, I can create, the actual courses, but then what's the website going to look like? How are people going to function with it? Is it going to show just those particular courses, or is it going to show because obviously when you're on a new platform, you create demo courses just to see how does it look, how does it react, how does it feel?
Yeah.
And so will it show those? But literally just everything was super simple, really nice and easily labeled. And absolutely love using the platform. Like I'd love to use it in the future as well.
Yeah.
Just and good on you guys for having it. Like I think it's just such a terrific little solution.
Yeah, for sure.
So, in terms of actually adding stuff, this is for text and image. Literally just copy, paste, save.
Yeah.
So simple.
Yeah.
What was your what
else?
was the uni's decision behind going from iBooks, if it was already existing, into putting it into something like Thinkific for the world?
So it's access. So with it being on iBooks, what happens if you are on Samsung?
Yeah.
But it's also, they wanted something new, and also they wanted a platform for everything. The iBooks existed, but it was very much, you came into the university, you downloaded them, it was very restricted. Whereas this was, they wanted something that was free and open to the world.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So it could be accessed by anyone, anytime, as long as they've got an internet connection, they could get it.
Yeah.
And also, it was an exposure thing. We are getting more and more into a digital future. And, and here's a really weird thing, when we talk about MOOCs are quite a divided opinion. Some people think they are dead. Some people know their value.
Yeah.
It's really about anything. If you create something good, it's going to win.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter if it's a MOOC, if it's a VOOC, if it's a whatever you want to call it.
Yeah.
As long as it's good, brings people value, does the job that it's supposed to do, and people know about it. That's another thing is, you can create anything. And it's almost that thing when people started creating websites in the early days. God, that sounds really old. In the early days. The early days of
Back
the
in
internet.
The day.
When we all gathered around the broadband. But it is this thing of people used to create websites and then they'd wonder why it wasn't a success. But it's about how do people know about it.
Yeah.
And it's, so for this, it was really push, integrate, use, when we talk about quizzes. So quizzes, really nice and easy. Just create, select your question type, put in your text, put in your answers, and just select which is the correct one.
Yeah.
So it was really that. And so, you can see this is just one section, and it goes on and on and on and on.
Yeah.
So so that was times by 9. So taking it from iBooks, finding a platform, learning a platform, integrating, embedding, talking to service teams, and so it was bringing everything together. And so 63 days straight, no weekends, and
dedication.
That's pretty much it.
So on that, sorry.
No, you go.
On that, I'm just thinking with the time frame that you had, like it was so fast paced. What did you do anything differently to how you would usually create a course? Like for me, I'm thinking I would need to storyboard the content out. And did you even have time to storyboard? Like,
no.
Yeah.
that was the thing. So it was literally just you are creating as you're going. So my usual process. So I'm such a big kind of supporter of Addy. Like I love it. And once again, it's one of those things whereby people think, oh, Addy's really old, but it's how you use it.
Yeah.
And so for me, analysis is one of the biggest phases. So we're understanding who are our learners, where are they, how are they learning, but also why are we doing this?
Yeah.
What is the intent? What's going to be the KPIs that we're going to get at the end? So for me, it was really taking a lot of steps out And so design as well. Design, usually I'd want to do a few look and feel examples. I'd want to test these. I want to talk to stakeholders. I would want to maybe have a play around with what platforms we can utilize. What can we really do to make this a continuous learning experience? So having a bigger plan. But for this, it really is. It's almost like an active storyboard. So you are going at that much of a pace whereby you are creating. Does that work? No, change, go. Next. So it was cutting quite a few steps out, but it's that kind of balance. It's whereby what would you want to do ideally? What do you have to do? So, that was what it was about.
What are the kind of results that you're getting from this new format now in terms of your learners, and what are you hearing feedback on?
So feedback, people really, really like the ability to take it anywhere at any time. You know, when you look at kind of the initial structure of education is very much face-to-face based, but we're moving from face-to-face to place-to-place. And it's really starting to get feedback along those lines of people are enjoying the ability to take it anywhere at any time. Also, those people that are slower learners are able to retake, so they appreciate that.
Yeah.
You know, we've had, so this has been in place a few months, we've had a couple hundred learners so far enrolled on this. So it's helping people that previously wouldn't have been able to get that help.
Yeah.
So, you know, even if you look at things, if it helps one person, perfect.
Yeah.
But, you know, over 200 on this particular one, it's a really, really good result.
Yeah. It's awesome.
I had a question now. I've gone mind blank because I was listening to that. What was it? What do you think? Well, where do you see the benefit of MOOCs? Okay, so there's two questions, because I might not remember, so someone else might remember it. And the other thing, you know how they always say that people will sign up for them, but they don't complete them. So what are your tips to get someone through to the end and not just sign up?
Cool. I'll just stop share. So we'll go back to, there we go. Face to face. Okay. So I think, you know, it is a great point. And also if we give an example of Harvard, so Harvard has around 20,000 in-house students, but it has over 100,000 online students. But the actual people that pass those classes are really, really minuscule. I think it might even be like single figure percentage. So a big thing is, how do you keep on engaging with your learners?
Yeah.
Because, you know, it's with anything. And if you look at habits, it's how do you keep people accountable to those habits?
Yeah.
So if somebody is left to their own devices, life gets in the way, you know, and, you know, time pressures. And also if something is virtual, it is not there in your face. You know, if there is something that reminds you every single day, then you're going to keep on doing it. But if something is virtual and it's not making you accountable, then you're going to forget about it. And then it just goes to the side. So it's how do you provide reminders, encouragement? It almost goes into that gamification element of what are they getting as a reward? So it's what's in it for me? That's a big thing. So it's how do we keep engaged with our learners, but also not through what feels autonomous. So it's like, hi, user 315. We've noticed people, you know, how do you make it personal? So is it that you have a coach that is making you accountable? Is it that you have something relating to your statistics? You know, so is it that there is particular data points that say somebody has purchased, but they've never enrolled? You know, because that's you know, we have that spontaneous buying. You know, have you ever bought something that you've never used before?
Yeah.
You know, it's in the sales. It looks brilliant. It's a bargain. It's still in my cupboard 3 years later.
Yeah.
And it's still got the tag.
Yeah.
it's that thing, I'm guilty on this. I'm guilty on this with online courses because I get really excited and I think, oh, this month I'm really going to learn Illustrator. There's this great course where I get the whole creative suite. It's $50. Perfect. I'll buy it. And I haven't started one lesson.
Yeah.
Because life gets in the way. So it's how do we give those triggers just to give people that nudge, make people accountable?
Yeah.
Is it that it is a daily reminder? You start seeing this on LinkedIn Learning. LinkedIn Learning, when you sign up, asks you how much learning do you want to do per week. And then they'll actually send you through a statistic telling you how much you've done, and also an encouragement.
It reminds me of Duolingo, but obviously not that successful because I think I did it for 2 days. But at the beginning, it asks you how long do you want to study per day, and you can say like 5 minutes, 10 minutes, 30 minutes. And then if you have push notifications on, it will tell you, it'll come through and say, hey, it's your time to start doing your 5 minutes.
Yeah, cool.
But my problem was I hate notifications, so I turned them off. And then after day 2, I never went back to it. But it is effective that's where the motivation wasn't high enough for me. It was more of a curiosity thing anyway.
Yeah.
What language was it?
French.
Oui, je parle un petit peu de français.
Oh, there you go. John can be a teacher.
Où est la bibliothèque?
I do know that one. We're in the library right now, actually.
Yeah.
That's it. But then the problem is you go to a library full of French books. What's going to happen?
What was the thinking, and this is like probably my ignorance, between why MOOC over LMS? Help us understand that choice. Or are they the same thing?
Oh, no. So we actually have an LMS here at the university. So we utilize Blackboard.
Yeah.
But we have restrictions whereby you actually have to register your learners to get into the LMS.
Yeah.
So we needed something that was free and open for all and also had the automation. Because, when you look at anything these days, if you sign up for anything, it's automatic. I think it is really jarring when you go to a website and you have to wait 24 hours to get your login details.
Yeah.
Because you're waiting for somebody on the other end to pick that up in their emails to engage with it. Yeah. So, we really needed a platform that took care of that automation, that became its own, unit in essence. So it was fully autonomous. Also integrated with our email system. So if a student did have any questions, it could come straight through. But for its own part, it was just fully autonomous. And that was the key thing. Yeah. So as opposed to our LMS, whereby we have to know who are the learners, what are their ID, so that we can guarantee that we know who those individuals are. Yeah. With the MOOC platform, just take care of all that.
That's cool. Yeah. In terms of, because that was training a language, what things did you learn from that could be applied to just say like compliance or leadership or communication? Because I think learning a language, there would be some unique things that you have to train differently, I feel. So did you have any things you're like, when you're curating content and that you're like, oh, when I work on something else, I'm going to remember to do that for this project?
Yeah, good question.
Yeah, I mean, the big thing for me was the different modalities that we were utilizing. So for language, obviously, it's so many different elements. So there is video, there's audio, there is written, there is repetition, but also, written repetition, regular questioning. So for me, looking forwards, it is how do I utilize different modalities? Yeah. And also, a big thing, when I go back to DevLearn, Kath Ellis, she did this incredible podcast-driven anti-fraud and corruption training, which is just the most incredible idea. And seeing it, I was nearly in tears. This was the crazy thing. Wow. I was sat on the table where she was, and she was going through, and I had to be asked if I was okay because I was nearly in tears. I was so proud of what she'd created. So, it's how do we kind of look at things a bit different? Is it that audio can be utilized, and audio is so big at the moment, and also there is so much view to VUI, so voice user interface. Yeah. So how can things be utilized with Alexa? So it's really, looking at those elements, what can we incorporate? What can we do? How can we look at things differently?
Yeah.
So how to look at things differently. I think that's the biggest thing.